Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and as you can tell from my surroundings, I'm home. I'm home and we had the best time. I was born and raised on the California coast, and so I love the ocean. And the Florida Ocean is actually much warmer and much shallower for much more depth out there than the California coast. And so I really love the Florida coast. So we just got back from spending a week in Florida. And as you can tell, I'm a little tanner. I tan up very quickly. I rarely burn, and I just get dark really fast. And I just decided not to worry about it at all because I just needed to lay in that sun and regenerate from that ocean water. It's just like my most favorite thing. I just love the ocean. I did some snorkeling, did some body surfing, floated around on a floaty a lot, and spent a lot of time with some of my family, and it was just lovely, absolutely lovely. I needed it. It's the first time I felt completely relaxed in a really long time, and so I really enjoyed it and just feel refreshed and regenerated. So we're back home now, and the temperature here is in the 80s, and so that's nice. There's a little breeze today, and so it's lovely to be out and about in town. Town is crowded, not crowded, but there's lots of people here. It never feels crowded because there's so many stores. And so it's just fun to see. I hear that the market is getting ready to open. Do we know when that's going to happen, Annie?
Sometime this week or next week.
Okay,
it's kind
so
of a
it's
soft opening.
Coming up as a soft opening.
But we're going to have a grand opening later, I think in July. So stay tuned for more details.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that is looking so cool in there. I'm super excited about that. Our Friday tutorial this week, the block we chose, it's a triple play, and the block we chose is the house block. And so you will see tiny houses, big houses, houses and boats, houses and stars. You're going to see all kinds of things. It's just absolutely one of my favorites. I love the house block anyway, and it's just really, really a fun triple play. So mark your calendars for that because it is just fun to watch. I feel like we all really knocked it out of the park with this one. It was just really, really cool. All right, so let's see what else we have coming up. Oh, my birthday happened while I was gone, and I appreciate all the love and all the thank yous, and I mean the happy birthdays, and I just want to send all the thank yous out because it's just always so heartwarming to read all those comments and see all those birthday comments. It's just the sweetest thing, and so thank you everybody for that. You made my day. I got to pick what I wanted to eat, and so Jake and Misty and Sarah and Seth were doing all the food and most of the cooking, and Sarah made me strawberry pies, which is my favorite, and Jake and Misty made enchiladas. Actually, Sarah and Seth made strawberry pies, and Jake and Misty made enchiladas, and so I just had the most wonderful birthday dinner. I actually laid in bed and read a book for 3 hours in the middle of the day, like it was completely unheard of for me. And it was amazing. And so I really enjoyed that. And I mean, it was just a great day. And I really took time for myself, and it was very cool. My book signing we had just like the week before I left, and it was awesome. It was a big line of people, which is always fun to see. And the books are, they're selling. And, every time I see a comment that says, I didn't get a signature, I promise you I signed a ton of them. So I'm sorry. Bring it with you when you come to visit Hamilton. And if I'm here, for sure, I'll sign it. So anyway, I'm super, that was super fun and quite a success.
And Grandpa had a line of...
Yeah, so he was there. Somebody asked if he could come down because they had a quilt they wanted him to sign because I'd already signed it, and they wanted him to sign it. So he signed the quilt, and right where he was, a line formed up to him right there. And he just sat and talked with people and signed, and he always signs on the back because he says he's behind the quilts. So he signs on the back. So that was really fun too, yeah. So what else we have, Annie? What else do we have today? We have any questions?
We just have 2 quick ones.
Oh, I'll try to make them as long and drawn out as I possibly can.
Can you please share the stitch that is on your machine that looks like the hand embroidery when you did the...
Yeah, so that's the buttonhole stitch or an applique stitch. And so it's the one that stitches down and across. And what you want to do with that is you want to make sure that you test it before you sew on your things, because that little, when that stitch comes down and it jumps over to take a bite, you can make that bite stitch as wide or as narrow as you want it. And mine was pretty wide. It was a little smaller than 1/4 of an inch. So it was like, went over and took a big bite, because when they sewed them by hand, that's what they did. And so it'll go stitch, 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 bite. And so you can change your stitch length so the bites come closer together, and you can change your stitch width. So just stitch, change those widths until you find one that you like. Now on my machine, the Bernina and the Baby Lock, it actually shows on the screen. When you move the width, it shows what the stitch looks like, but I still stitch it out because I want to make sure that it's perfect, because I don't want to start something. You don't want to have to pick that stitch out, is what I'm saying. And so just stitch it on a scrap piece of fabric to make sure it's exactly what you want. And some of them will go stitch, stitch, and come this way, but make sure that whatever you pick, make sure it feels normal for you. For me, it's normal to stitch this way, which I think it is for most people. So just take a look at that, and that will help you. And so just test it out. Yeah, change all the settings.
Did you use a normal 40 or 50 weight black thread or something?
I just used normal thread. Yeah, just a normal thread. Now you can use a little heavier thread. That's actually a great idea. But I just used my normal thread, and I thought it looked very much like the other hand stitching.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I thought you did use something thicker, but you just used, because it does look like it.
And the thing about stitching like that is that it is hard when you're stitching by hand to get it exact and to have it match up perfectly. I've seen where people have drawn like 2 lines on their fingers so that they have a little measuring thing as they go along. But for me, if I can do it quicker, I figure out how to do it quicker. And I liked the machine stitch and the perfection of it, because I am not a perfect hand stitcher, although I'm getting better. So I've started on some more Ingrid's blocks, and we're also just finished working on Christmas blocks. And so you'll want to be watching for that embroidery. There's a super cool Christmas embroidery that is coming out. I don't know when it's coming out, but we just finished making the blocks for it. And one of our designers, Jackie, did those. And oh my gosh, they're beautiful. They're just gorgeous. And you guys are going to love them. Anyway, I've been embroidering a lot, and I feel like my embroidery's gotten really a lot better.
It is just that practice makes
better.
Yeah.
I like to say practice makes progress.
That's what it was. That's what I was trying to remember.
I have a sticker on my bag that says practice makes progress, because it eventually, I don't know, well, I don't ever have the desire to be perfect. I like looking like it was made by hand, but I do love the progress. I love seeing the progress.
Also, perfect means something different to everybody anyway.
It sure does. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
What is the best way to get back to a project after a year? I don't remember where I'd stopped. I'm too scared.
So let me tell you something really cool that happened to me one time. I was doing a guild in Tennessee for the National Tennessee Guild, and there was another person who was supposed to speak with me, and they canceled. And they asked one of the local gentlemen, who was an art teacher, to come up and do a trunk show. And so he is an art teacher, and the quilts he makes are all from blocks that other people have decided they're never going to finish, and they're cast-offs. And I have to tell you, I literally sat with my jaw dropped the whole time, because he would talk about what the block was like. He'd say, well, this block was made in the 80s, and it was forest green and mauve, and it was this. And because they weren't his blocks and he hadn't been working on them, he literally cut them into different shapes and made, some of them were block quilts, some of them were landscape quilts, but it was literally that freedom to just do whatever he wanted to do with these blocks, because he didn't have a sentimental attachment to it. So while I say, because often so what happens to me is I will finish blocks, but then I don't actually put the quilt together. And so I have a bin of those downstairs that I need to finish and put together, because they're all the blocks from the Kansas City Star newspaper when they were doing them in the 90s. Every week or every month a new block would come out, and I would make those blocks, and a lot of them are needle turn applique, beautiful blocks. But I finished the block, but they're all, 20 blocks in a baggie, and so I never put them together as quilts. So I actually know where I'm going with those. But when you get a block out of your closet and you're not sure what it was, if you really don't love the fabric, give it away to somebody. Give it away to somebody who does. If you want to try something new and cut it up and see what happens, that's a fun thing to do. If you just decide that, if you know the name of it and you can find a tutorial online that tells you how to finish, that's also a great thing to do, but you'll just have to look at that. So I recently did a tutorial on the kaleidoscope quilt, and I found a kaleidoscope quilt that I started in 2014, so fully 10 years ago, and I had all my little half hexy blocks made to make the kaleidoscope, but I had never put them together, and I was afraid to put them together because the fabric was very similar, so the blocks looked a lot the same. But my block that I made this was for a triple play, and the block that I made actually had a dark triangle in between, and so it framed them. And so I decided that was what I was going to do with those. And you'll see that in the triple play tutorial on the kaleidoscope one, because I bring it out and show it. I finished it and I showed it, and it looks amazing, and I'm ever so glad I finished it. But also, I was like you, I was a little afraid as to what to do. And so that just hit me, and I happened to find it at the right time and do it. So just, give yourself some grace. You didn't finish it. We often find boxes of stuff that our grandmothers, were like, oh, look at these blocks my grandmother started. I found them under the bed. Well, there might be a reason she didn't finish them. Maybe she didn't love them either. Maybe she forgot what she was doing. Maybe, who knows what happened, but she didn't finish those blocks. They weren't super important to her. Maybe they're super important to you, so pass them on to somebody, do any of those things that I suggested, and don't stress over it. Just, quilting is meant to fill you up with joy and be enjoyed. And so, I hope you'll just look at it and give yourself a little grace and a little chance maybe to try something new. Anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you here next week on Tuesday Newsday. Bye, everybody.